attack now. Can he hang on in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain? Lines up for the sprint, can he steal this one? 1 kilometre to go now. Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is!
Hello, welcome to Pershore in Worcestershire, the most southerly point on this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain route, and it is a day for the time trialists. A short, sharp shock of 14 kilometres awaits them. It could be all change on the GC, and this is after a fairly hectic day on the Wirral Peninsula. Birkenhead Park on the Wirral Peninsula was the setting for stage 5 of this year's Tour of Britain. As usual, the attacks came from the start, but we had the unusual sight of the green jersey himself chasing them down. A quartet did manage to escape, including Jacob Scott once again in the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. They were greeted by huge crowds on the first climb of the day at Kelsall Hill, with Scott adding more points at the summit. Another jersey wearer, Rory Townsend, crashed on a corner and then had a second scare when he was trying to get back onto the group.
Oh my word.
Steve Cummings, though, wasn't quite so lucky, and the local hero was forced to retire from the race after a crash. The teams then had a preview of the final climb and the finish as they looped around the first ever public park. Danish rider Emil Vinjabo was the last of the escapees on the road and made a bid for glory, but he was soon reeled back in. With the kilometres ticking down, the second ascent of Flaybrick Hill proved to be a launch pad for attacks, with riders pinging off the front. But in the end it came down to a sprint, and whether anyone could beat a certain Flying Dutchman.
Now they launch for the sprint for the line. Here comes Lotto Soudal. Ben Swift getting up there. 200 metres to go. And Groenewegen now hits the front. Dylan Groenewegen, the challenge coming in here from the Great Britain national team. Trentin moves up, but Dylan Groenewegen takes the stage.
So a hat-trick of wins and a new jersey for Dylan Groenewegen, with the bonus seconds collected by Matteo Trentin in third, meaning the Italian was back in the green leader's jersey. Just 3 seconds ahead, though, of Mathieu van der Poel. I'm joined here next to the start ramp of today's TT stage once more by Janto Barker. And Janto, before we look at today's loop through the Worcestershire countryside, let's just reflect on yesterday in Wirral, and once again Dylan Groenewegen proving he is the fastest man in a straight drag race for the line.
Yeah, proving that 3 times already now in this year's OVO Tour of Britain, and yeah, I think he's enjoying it. He's winning at a canter, it's got to be said. There's a couple of bike lengths in each one of those wins.
I'm not sure he'll enjoy today. It's only a short time trial loop, but it really is one for the specialists. So let's have a closer look now at today's stage 6. Pershore hosts stage 6 in the potentially decisive individual time trial. The race starts with the riders powering south out of town. The road rises slightly as they hit the halfway marker at Bricklehampton. The course then continues in an anti-clockwise direction around Worcestershire before heading back into the market town. The total distance of 14.5 kilometres or 9 miles could prove pivotal in this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. The Georgian market town of Pershore sits on the banks of the River Avon. There is an awful lot of history in and around the town, with the abbey dating back to the 11th century and Pershore Old Bridge, which was nearly destroyed during the English Civil War. Pershore is also well known for the annual Plum Festival held every August. Yeah, and so if you're anything like me, I like to see a long time trial. I really like to see those guys who like racing against the clock do it over maybe an hour, but this really is short, sharp, fast, and it could change everything on GC.
I think, yeah, it's not an hour time trial, but it definitely is hard enough to make the difference between, winning and losing. And I think there are guys who are fairly far back that could actually make up some time today.
Hey, we've had 10 milers at the Tour of Britain before. This is slightly shorter than a Club 10. It's 9 miles. What kind of time are we looking at the pros to do today?
I think it's going to be something starting with a 16:40, something like that. I'm just guessing, but that feels about right to me.
Okay, let's hear from some of the riders right now.
We work hard to come here. The last 3 years, we did always a really nice race in Tour of Britain. Just we like the race very well, and yeah, when you can win, it's really special. And of course, 3 times. That's the best we can have.
I want to win races. It's even more special to win races on home soil. So it's the same pressure as I take into anything. So it's all, pro cycling is pressure. So yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of support out there. I already saw my name written on the road, which is pretty cool.
I feel like I've been in the gym the last 2 days. Some serious gym legs, but I did 2 laps. I thought, well, if I'll just do that as my warm-up now. So better to get that done, do a bit longer, and should be good to go. I think it'll just take a while to get going. So if I do that in the warm-up, then it'd be better to do that.
Mathieu van der Poel is a bit of an unknown quantity at the moment for the whole cycling world. He showed phenomenal form winning that uphill, and we want to see what he can do today. Matteo, our leader, is he's not a out-and-out time trialer, but he's definitely going to give this course his best shot, and we'll know a lot more tonight.
Stage 6 of this year's OVO Tour of Britain is a time trial, an effort against the clock. I was never really a time trial specialist, but I do know some of the basic principles, and I'm going to talk you through them as we go around the course now. Almost all riders will use a power meter, which means the first couple of minutes of their effort won't be max. They have to wait for the effort to build up into their full TT effort. This is it. Within the first kilometre, we hit a slight drag. Now, it's actually better to push harder on the drags on the way up than it is on the descent when it comes to pacing. But you've got to get it right, because if you go too hard and you get a lactic build-up, you can't really recover in a time trial. The road surface is good, just the corners to negotiate. I was saying about pacing, they want to just squeeze a little bit, another 10% here. If that means they have to hold it back a little bit earlier, that's the right way to get around this course the fastest. Corners are a factor. Going to come into this hot, looking over through the hedgerow to see where the road goes next. They want to stay on their TT bars with all the power laid down as much as possible. Every time they have to freewheel, they're slowing down. As we come up to the 10 kilometres to go, banner here on my left, they'll all be absolutely on the rivet by now. From about 8Ks to go until 4.5Ks to go. Slightly downhill, slight tailwind. The guys are going to cover that distance extremely fast. It's a very, very fast finish, couple of kilometres. Tailwind and slightly downhill. That is a fast time trial. They're all hard. The winner's going to have to get the pacing just right. I divide it into thirds. First third, headwind, slightly uphill. Second third, tailwind, slightly downhill. And last third, cross, tail. And they're going to have to squeeze all the way to the line. The winner is going to have to get their pacing just right.
Got a feeling we're not going to see a 4th stage win of this year's Tour of Britain from Dylan Groenewegen today. But which names should we look out for today, Janto?
I think there's a couple from Katusha Alpecin. Alex Dowsett, classic, loves this kind of distance. Niels Pollitt, also very good time trialist. I think Chad Haga from Sunweb and Gianni Moscon maybe.
Good outside bet. He's close enough on GC to make a difference. I'm going to chuck in as well former Dutch time trial champion Dylan van Baarle of Ineos as well, and the current one, Jos van Emden. Some really strong guys there today. Yeah, and it's a tough course. I think there are going to be some gaps big enough to actually change the GC if someone's really, really on it. Okay, Janto, thanks very much indeed. Right, really exciting time trial in prospect. Let's go straight to your commentary team of Rob Hales and Marty McDonald.
Thanks, Matt. Tristan Robbins, the first rider to start in today's time trial, 14.4 kilometres. The riders will start at 1 minute intervals up until the final 10 riders, when they will then be separated by 2 minutes. You will get the countdown very soon. There's a lot of anticipation going into these sort of starts, isn't there, Rob?
Most definitely. Fingers crossed that they can get the best effort out they can.
He's getting that countdown. We are ready way to go. Away we go. The time trial is underway here. Tristan Robbins, the first rider to roll away. The general classification, it goes in a reverse order. And Tristan Robbins, he sits 110th on the general classification, 51 minutes and 18 seconds down.
The thing is, when you've got guys throughout the field and you look how far they are down on general classification, it's not always a sign.
Huge crowds were out in the Worcestershire countryside to cheer the riders on, and the biggest cheer came when Mark Cavendish arrived onto the start and egged them on. Frederick Frisson of Lotto Soudal set the early marker for the rest to chase.
16:59.
His time was beaten by one of the pre-race favourites, Edoardo Affini, and as the British champion prepares to start, the Middleton Scott rider was still sitting in the hot seat.
The 30-year-old Brit, 6 times national champion. Away we go. The British time trial champion, Alex Dowsett, rolls away here for the Pershore time trial to a big roar from the crowd. A popular man. This 14.4 kilometre time trial that the riders have to tackle today. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break. Back soon. Out on the road with Alex Dowsett.
And he's got Dylan Groenewegen in his sights here. Dowsett comes up to the car. And the car just spots the British champion in his mirrors. It swings out for him, allowing him a clean run through on this this twisty section of the course.
And great to see the lines here of that Alex is taking through these corners. He's got 9 kilometres to go.
Yep, shortest route through. And, well, complete difference in style here. And, well, not a surprise at all. Dylan Groenewegen already with wins under his belt here in the sprints. It's just about getting himself through here. Relatively relaxed for the Dutch sprinter, but anything but for Alex Dowsett, British time trial champion. This is a full-blown effort for him.
Again, it's great to see the contrast of the different animals within cycling. You got your sprinter with your time trial rider there. It's great to see side by side on that shot.
Yep, complete contrast in styles. Again, Sasha Modolo, sprinter.
Roy Curvers will be the next rider to finish. So Curvers from Team Sunweb. And again, you can see that time of Edoardo Affini. He's still sitting well. Over 2 minutes down at the moment for Roy Curvers. Stops the clock, 18:50.25 for him. Now, Jos van Emden, Team Jumbo-Visma, the Dutch national champion, gets his ride underway. How much have the efforts so far this week taken out of the legs of Jos van Emden, the 34-year-old Dutchman this year, the current time trial form. 3rd in the time trial at the Bink Bank Tour, the national champion. He took the prologue time trial in the ZLM Electra Tour a little bit earlier on, just before the Tour de France got underway. 3rd in the time trial in this year's Tirreno Adriatico, way back at the beginning of the season. And of course, a stage winner in the Giro in 2017 in the time trial. He's another one of our favourites, Christopher Nopper. Again, for Sport Vlaanderen Baloise, we've seen Christopher in the breaks so far this week. Finishes with a time of 18:49.77. And now Alex Dowsett goes to the top of the leaderboard here on stage 6 by 1 second.
Well, Dowsett, here he's got the carrot to chase. He's already caught Dylan Groenewegen. So is this Matt Walls, potentially, the GB rider?
Well into his ride, Alex Dowsett, again, defending or getting back that national time trial jersey this year. Comes into this 5th in the European Time Trial Championships. Was disappointed with that ride. And then now again, this will help him, just picking up the riders in front of him, goes in tight on Matt Walls there.
Pick a side, any side.
Does.
Just get through safely, and he does just about there.
He is just hugging that line here, back out on the road here with Mikael Lander. So these riders that are not up there in the general classification, it's a good time trialist nonetheless, Mikael Lander.
Yeah, and it's a test as well for Lander, 11K to go for him, but well, he's a GC rider, and at some point in your career you do have to perform well at the time trial. Okay, he's underperformed here in terms of his Palmares up to this point, but this could very well be just a test for him, a hit out on the TT bike, because it's not often that you get a chance to ride without any pressure under a time trial conditions like this throughout the year with a number on your back, certainly for a top flight general classification contender, as we see here with Mikael Lander.
And it's good for riders like Mikael to try and, you know, go through the whole mental process. Into Pershore, Alex Dowsett now pushing for home. That time that he has to beat, Eduardo Affini, 16:39 for Alex Dowsett. He's almost got to be sprinting for home now. He's got another rider in front of him. Can Alex Dowsett give himself the dream finish? You can just see him in the distance there as they come up towards the line. He's got Boris Valet to chase down. 300 meters to go now for Alex Dowsett. You can see him just shifting through the gears, being roared on by the crowd here in Pershore. He was 1 second up at Eduardo Affini at the intermediate time check. What has he got at the finish? Alex Dowsett looking for the finish, and he's just outside. He's lost time, 16:52 for Alex Dowsett. So up at the intermediate time check, it just shows how strongly Eduardo Affini has finished this time trial.
Yep. As you said earlier, Affini really did drive it in. It showed that against the time of Lasse Norman Hansen. And Dowsett just dipping off a little bit there. And there you can see through the out the back of the finish area. And just turning the legs, trying to clear that acid out.
Chad Hager will be behind him. We'll see what Chad Hager does at the finish. Back out onto the course with Mikael Lander. Let's update you. The current standings at the finish. Still Eduardo Affini in the hot seat, 13 seconds ahead of Alex Dowsett. Frederick Frison, one of our early starters, still at 20 seconds there in third. Lasse Norman Hansen, still a solid ride by him at 22 seconds. Here comes Chad Hager up towards the line here for Team Sunweb. He's caught Dylan Groenewegen here for a couple of minutes. We haven't had any idea of what Chad Hager has done out on the course, but again, it's a good time for Chad Hager, but he's not going to challenge Affini. 17:07.45 for Chad Hager. So again, that will put him up in the standings. So the leader still Eduardo Affini of Mitchelton. Scott has gone through the second half of his time trial like a rocket. Jos van Emden in towards the line here. Now pressing on that time of Affini. Let's see what he can do at the line. Let me see the clock. Jos van Emden's just outside, but a good ride by the Jumbo-Visma man. Under 17 minutes, 16:55.12 for Jos van Emden. Close, but not close enough.
Yep, close but no cigar for Van Emden, but again, I think it just highlights the ride that Affini has done, and that information that will have gone back to his teammates from that earlier ride, most notably for Matteo Trentin, but also for Luke Durbridge, very soon to start.
So those riders that we're watching out for. The intermediate time split, Dylan van Baal goes through with the new fastest intermediate time by 4 seconds from Alex Dowsett and Jos van Emden. Eduardo Affini, who is fastest at the line, and this is Dylan van Baal here, is 5 seconds down at the intermediate. Chad Hager was at 10, Lasse Norman Hansen at 12, Frison at 14, Bauer at 17, Bagdonis at 19, and then Niels Eekhoff. That's your top 10 at the intermediate split. We said Dylan van Baarle could be a potential favourite if he decides to go for it. Clearly.
Thought he was looking good out on the course. I mean, how can he not look good anyway? Look at the setup that he's got. But he's riding out there incredibly well. But as we've seen highlighted already on a couple of occasions, that Affini has obviously saved something for the back end of the race. Have these others? Has Dylan van Baarle gone out just a little bit too quick? It's obviously a good guide, that halfway point, but it's all about crossing the finish line with the quickest time.
It is indeed. In towards the line now. So we've should be Philippe Valsleben, the Corendon Circus rider. And again, for these riders, they've got to be mindful of the legs for the days to come. For Mathieu van der Poel, 17:49.65 for Valsleben.
Not a bad time. Certainly got some work to do on his position, unlike this man here, former under-23 world time trial champion back in 2011. And early on in his ride, we've missed him coming out of the ramp, but he makes the second negotiation, the second turn of the course here as he comes out. Luke Durbridge well and truly into his ride now.
He is indeed this year's national champion. You're getting to see all the national champions' skin suits here today. Durbridge, quite interestingly, decided to go for a bottle here as well.
Probably more aero with the overall package. And it's the sort of distance you don't need a bottle, but don't need a drink. Whether we'll be seeing him go for it.
Emil Vignebeau, that was in the breakaway yesterday, was Vignebeau. 17:46 for Vignebeau. 17:46, so still our early starter. Edoardo Affini, 12th rider to go here today, is still sat in the hot seat, but will that point at the finish be taken by this man, Dylan van Baarle? A great season that he is having. Started that off with a win down in the Herald Sun Tour and backed that up. And there's he's
nervous.
Looking, he's looking
a little bit nervous.
nervous.
Slight apprehension there, and not surprisingly so.
It is indeed. So Affini out there, and Dylan van Baarle is heading in towards the finish. Just explain what you talk about when you talk about a negative split in terms of riding in a time trial and looking at your target time.
It's basically conserving energy, going out steadier and then bringing it home. So riding quicker on the second part of the course, or at least delivering a bigger proportion of your effort. As we see Mikel Landa now coming in just outside, minute and a quarter from Affini.
17:55 there for Mikel Landa, the Spanish rider there from Team Movistar. The next rider to finish will be Dylan van Baarle. Aaron Verwilst was out on the course. Van Baarle here, let's have the clock. 500 meters to go. It's gonna be touch and go here for Dylan van Baarle.
He's going to finish outside, so he hasn't, as Affini seems to have done, he hasn't negative split. He hasn't saved something for the back end. He's gone out quick. He's only got 10 seconds now to cross the line, and I think the line is not going to come to him quick enough.
Dylan van Baarle, 16:39, the time that he had to beat here for Edoardo Affini. Sees that line ahead of him. He was up at the intermediate time split. He's just outside, 16:46.83 for van Baarle. So again, it shows that Affini had gone out. He'd done his recce and absolutely nailed this.
Delivered his effort. Yep, absolutely delivered his effort perfectly. Van Baarle just off a little bit.
A huge sigh of relief again. Edoardo Affini in that position. He's been there. Will he be there at the end? 16:39, 7 seconds ahead of Dylan van Baarle. He was 4 seconds up on Affini, was van Baarle at the intermediate time split. Alex Dowsett, the British time trial champion, still sat there in 3rd place. We're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. Back soon.
Championships previously to get his hands on that jersey.
Florian Stork coming in here. Good time from the team Sunweb rider. Stops the clock, 17:24.73 for Florian Stork. You have driving the home there, the Sunweb rider. So next to finish will be Langefeld, then Christian Vermotta, Vergada, and then Galapan. Those are your next riders to finish. Sebastian Langefeld goes through there with a good time, just 6 seconds down. They just flashed back there, just outside. And Sebastian Langefeld for EF Education first. Looked he was about 6 seconds down at the finish. With Luke Durbridge crossing the line there, it's still Affini at the top of the leaderboard. He leads Langefeld, Van Baal there. Durbridge slots into 4th, pushes Alex Dowsett now down to 5th. Van Emden, another one of our pre-stage favourites, in 6th. Tony Galapan slotting in there in 9th. Daniel Kanga has just caught Connor Swift out on the road. So the EF Education first rider is flying out here on the time trial today, 16:04. So he could be there and thereabouts to Daniel Kanga. Again, touch and go.
Certainly performing and punching above his weight, I think, for the standard of the times that have come in so far. Can he hang on to this? This really is a big ask for him.
It is. It's literally just trying to cling to that speed and effort now for the man from Estonia, Daniel Kanga. He can see that line ahead of him. He's got 10 seconds to do it. He's going to be just about outside, I think, for Daniel Kanga. 16:39 that he has to be. He's got 150 meters to go up towards the line. He was quicker at the intermediate time check, but this is one of the best time trials we've ever seen from Daniel Kanga. Stops the clock just under 10 seconds down, 16:49.60 for Daniel Kanga. Surprise ride there by the man from Estonia.
Very quick. Certainly put him up, I think, just ahead of Alex Dowsett, possibly just behind Luke Durbridge in 5th place now on current standings on the stage.
So a little under 10 seconds, just a fraction under 10 seconds there for Daniel Kanga. So it's good when you see this as well. Riders, you see that ability that we don't always get to see. Connor Swift crossed the line there. Let's have a look at our current standings at the finish. Eduardo Affini still 7 seconds up on Sebastian Langefeld. Dylan Van Baal in 3rd, still at 7th. Durbridge in 4th. Kanga now slots into 5th place at 10 seconds. Dowsett hanging on there in 6th. This is into the unknown for many of us. Mathieu van der Poel, the cyclocross rider, the road rider. What can he do in the time trial? We haven't had many opportunities to see him go in the time trial, but he gets his ride underway. Mathieu van der Poel now rolls down the start ramp. As we said, it's a bit of a trip into the unknown here. We haven't had many opportunities to see him against the clock.
We haven't, and he looked committed out the start, relaxed, fairly calm, but extremely positive out down the ramp and straight up to speed, and it is a little bit of the unknown here.
Here comes Sivakov into the finish. Sivakov, he had gone quickest at the intermediate check. Remember, Eduardo Affini built that speed all the way in towards the finish, so the riders that have gone quicker than him, and Sivakov as well has not managed to maintain that advantage over Affini come the finish. Sivakov stops the clock, 16:56.10 for Sivakov. Eduardo Affini lives to fight another day.
All about that second half, isn't it?
What can this man do? The Mitchelton Scott rider, Matteo Trentin. 10-second countdown. 14.4 kilometers awaits the Italian. Away we go, the last man to start, Matteo Trentin of Mitchelton Scott. Can he maintain that jersey today? Rob, will this help him having Van der Poel in front of him?
I think it will. He knows exactly what he's got to do, but obviously it depends on that first time check of where he will be. And just wondering if they will have members of the team out on the course, just checking, just giving a time check along the way.
Niels Pollitt, you can see he's outside as well, but we'll watch the time for Niels Pollitt for the general classification, and he's just inside the 17 minutes, 16:59 for Niels Pollitt. So watch that as well for the general classification. He's 22 seconds down. Back out on the road now with Mathieu van der Poel for Corendon Circus. As Rob said, this effort will suit him. Those top-end efforts that you need from cyclocross and mountain biking, it makes you physiologically a very good time trialist.
Yeah, it gives you a big engine, doesn't it? And obviously he's got the skills to be able to deliver it smoothly on the road. Very nice position, it's got to be said, on the TT rig. But yep, that explosivity and that ability to sit right up in the red, right there at your threshold.
Let's have a look at our current standing. Still the Italian Edoardo Affini sitting at the top of the leaderboard, 7 seconds ahead of Sebastian Langerfeld. Still Dylan van Baarle in third. Luke Durbridge still sitting there in fourth place. Daniel Kanga, great solid ride today from the EF Education first rider. Alex Dowsett, the British time trial champion, still in sixth. Jos van Emden is still in seventh. Sivakov, Friedron and Pollitt, Niels Pollitt in 10th, 20 seconds down. Is it going to be a stage victory today for that man? So Matteo Trentin, as we were saying, he's not known as a time trialist, but he can time trial.
Yeah, and it's all down to how you actually look at a time trial. At what point in a race do you commit yourself to a time trial if you're vying for general classification? For the likes of Matteo Trentin, that's not often. And so it's a little bit of the unknown, and this man also in the unknown.
So where is the, let's have a look at the intermediate split as he heads towards it. 9:12 was Affini, but remember there's many riders, 10 riders. He's only 10th quickest at the intermediate split, is the man that currently sits in the hot seat at the finish. There's Mathieu van der Poel. So this is the intermediate split just ahead of him. Let's see what he goes through here. This is a solid ride here from Mathieu van der Poel. So he's going to go through here quicker than the man at the finish. 9:04, I would say there, before going through there. So at this point, we'll get confirmation of that. He's quicker than Affini. Ben Swift now in towards a finish. Ben Swift just over 30 seconds down on Affini. Good ride by the Ineos man. 17:21 for Ben Swift. Looking to try and maintain that general classification position is Ben Swift. Van der Poel looks like we'll get confirmation of it that he's gone through quickest.
Well, that's an incredible performance, and obviously put the pressure on this man here if he's getting that kind of information coming back through his race radio.
8 kilometers to go for Matteo Trentin in that green jersey. He would have had a lot of information from his teammates, especially the man that's sitting at the top of the leaderboard.
That's the thing. He's got riders. Mitchelton Scott have performed so well as a collective team, as a group, and so that information will be going back to the last man out on the road, Matteo Trentin. The more information you've got, filter it through. It's all to the good.
Mike Turnison comes down off that hill, and you're just trying to carry your speed through here, aren't you?
As much as you can, and it's pretty much all out. The taps are completely open here. You're not saving anything back. You're just delivering that power. It's flat. There aren't any more efforts to go through as we get into the final 30 seconds or so of your effort here.
Mike Turnison, you see there, has gone through the 500-meter to go point. These riders are just as well, trying to keep themselves within striking distance of the general classification. The Jumbo-Visma man has done a lot of work this week as well, trying to deliver Dylan Groenewegen successfully so far to 3 stage victories. Now these are the days where he gets the opportunity to ride for himself, and Mike Turnison again is just about the 30 seconds down on Affini. That's a good time by Mike Turnison. 17:11 by Mike Turnison. So again, very close there to Ben Swift's time. So although these guys here, they might be 30 seconds off Affini, they've got to be within distance of each other in that top 10. Back out on the road with Trentin. So we said that Van der Poel stop the clock, but he went through in about 9:04. Did Trentin. There's Mike Turnison just trying to recover after the finish.
Oh, level, absolutely level.
Look at that. Not only have we got a race on our hands on the back end of this time trial today, this will set things up beautifully for the last couple of days. And Mathieu van der Poel and Matteo Trentin, true to form.
Well, both of them not only vying for the stage here, but obviously their time even at this point. So as it stands, going through that time check, Trentin was holding on to his advantage of 3 seconds on general classification. But as we've seen, riders have lost time over this second half. So it's all about how they've committed to it and how they deliver this second half.
Simon Clark, the Aussie, now in towards the finish. He went on the attack yesterday in the closing stages. And Clark, he went into today's stage at 17 seconds in the general classification. Expect him to go on the attack on the days to come. But now comes in towards the finish. 17:23.44 for Clark. 17:23.44. Again, good solid ride by him. So this will, today as well, turn the general classification on its head as well. Jasper de Boist. We haven't had let's see what this rider again has got. Jasper de Boist out on the road. So that time of Affini at the finish. So can anyone knock Affini off the top of the leaderboard? They're both Van der Poel and Matteo Trentin, both quicker at the intermediates, but the way the afternoon has gone, the way this time trial has panned out, Affini has managed to carry the speed all the way to the line. But again, there's something else here. This green jersey, the general classification fight.
The green jersey is not about the stage. That's not his priority. If it comes, then it comes, either of these riders. But it's about the time difference, that 3-second buffer over this man here, ahead of Matteo Trentin in the green jersey. It's just those 3 seconds. This is really a battle. We've got a fight on our hands. This time trial, all important, very crucial to anybody looking for a top 10 position on general classification. You cannot afford to lose time here. For these guys, it's not about the stage. It may come, it's looking good for them, but it's more the battle, the individual battle between these two riders here that we're seeing.
Total contrast in styles. Jasper de Boist has been sprinting phenomenally well this week as well, on the flat, on the hills. The Lotto Soudal rider, he will want to keep his general classification hopes alive. He's going to be around the 30-second mark down on Eduardo Affini in terms of the stage. Good time trial by Jasper de Boist, 30.74 down for Jasper de Boist, so 17:10. He went into the stage in third overall. It's the best time trial I've seen for a while from de Boist.
Yep, de Boist at 10 seconds from Matteo Trentin, 7 seconds behind this man here, Van der Poel, but 7 seconds ahead of Simon Clark from EF Education at the start of the stage.
Van der Poel, echoes of Bradley Wiggins in that position, isn't there?
Hand one on top of the other, coming into the finish here now. The final couple of kilometers coming through, not far.
Mathieu van der Poel, 1 kilometer to go now for the Corendon Circus man. You can see him just carrying that speed, accelerating now as he heads back in towards Pershore. Looking at the clock, I would say he's going to be slightly outside the time of Eduardo Affini at the line, but it's going to be touch and go. 16:09 so far and counting for van der Poel. But again, remember, it's all about the battle for the green jersey as well. And the general classification goes through 500 meters at 16:19. Van der Poel, you can see now the shoulders just starting to rock and roll as he heads up towards the final few hundred meters.
Very quick here, 300 meters to go now. Absolutely committed, head down. He just hasn't come out of that position, has he? Right the way through.
He hasn't. Mathieu van der Poel, he's going to be outside the time of Eduardo Affini. 100 meters to go towards the line. Van der Poel, last little sprint now, crosses the line. 16:51.81 for van der Poel. Let's see that time now, how that compares to Matteo Trentin behind him. Great ride by Van der Poel. And with one rider to go, will the stage victory go to Edoardo Affini? But where will the green jersey end up? Van der Poel rolls around after the finish, just trying to recover out on the road now. Matteo Trentin battling to try and save this jersey. Him and Van der Poel were level at that intermediate time split.
2 minutes behind on the road for the start for Trentin, last man out on the road.
So look at the time, 15:39 and counting. We've seen the runs in so far. You come down off this descent, hit the Flamme Rouge, and then try and carry that speed all the way in towards the finish. Matteo Trentin, you look at this now with this race, and in terms of how these two are looking, Van der Poel and Trentin, he's losing time here, so 16:51.81 was the time at the finish of Van der Poel. It looks like Trentin's lost a bit of time.
He has lost a little bit of time over Van der Poel, I think.
So that buffer going into today's stage, 3 seconds, but for Trentin as well, he's just got to keep himself as close as he can to Van der Poel for the sprints. In flat sprints, Van der Poel says it himself, he feels that Trentin's got the advantage.
Well, it's nip and tuck. I think he's going to lose just a little bit of time. Losing just a little bit over Van der Poel. Is it going to be within 3 seconds, though? Because if it is, he will keep that jersey. But if he finishes outside, then obviously it will swap again.
Here he is now up towards the line. Matteo Trentin fighting to try and keep hold of it. 100 meters to go. 16:51.81 was the time of Mathieu Van der Poel. He crosses the line now. 17.78. 17 minutes, 10.78. It's going to be close, but it looks like Van der Poel has taken back that jersey.
He has. He's been able to hold on. But for the stage, Affini, he's been there pretty much the entire stage. Well, he won't be overly worried about that jersey for his teammate at the moment. It's all about his individual victory. But there it looks like Matteo Trentin has lost just a little bit of time over that second half. Van der Poel holding on.
One of the strongest time trials that we've seen from Matteo Trentin. Just lets himself recover. What an effort. So an amazing win for Edoardo Affini ahead of Sebastian Langeveld and Dylan van Baarle of Team Ineos in third. The Italian spent over 2.5 hours in the hot seat before taking to the podium.
A very long day sat in that hot seat. How stressful was it watching each and every rider go out?
Well, it was probably more stressful to stay in the hot seat than doing the TT. Well, but it's worth it. I mean, it's a really nice victory and I'm really happy with it.
Mathieu Van der Poel is back on top of the general classification by 6 seconds from Matteo Trentin, with it looking like a 2-horse race with only 2 stages to go. The Dutchman proving that he could do anything on a bike after that display in Worcestershire.
Well, he is back in green after a difficult day, a fairly short day, but a difficult one nonetheless, doing the time trial. Mathieu, congratulations. You've got some seconds back on Matteo Trentin. It looks like you're going to go all the way to Manchester now to try and keep that leader's jersey.
Yeah, I hope so, but Trentin already showed that he's quite strong at the finish as well, and maybe it's going to come down to the bonus seconds here, so it's going to be tight until the finish.
Was it difficult being his minute man? Were you hearing updates on how close he was to you?
No, I had a bit on the fastest time, but I was quite happy with the performance. The last time I did a real time trial was when I was a junior rider, so it's kind of a long time ago, and it was fun to do a time trial again today.
I said that pacing was going to be really important on that course today. You were faster than the stage winner at the intermediate split. Did you know that, or were you trying to focus on just going 100% all the way around?
No, I didn't know that. As I said, they only gave me the time of the fastest guy on the course, and that was Affini. So, but it's always nice to hear when you can get up to him. But at the end, I lost some time, but I felt pretty strong, and I think I'm ready to fight together with the team to try and get the overall win here.
Good to hear it, because I think tomorrow's stage is quite hilly at the end. It's going to suit you. Let's have a look now.
Stage 7 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain starts with the first sprint at Berkswell, coming after just 16 kilometres. The teams then head back south, and the next chance of red jersey points at Brinklow near Rugby. Passing onto the Foss Way, the riders encounter the first Skoda KOM climb at Frizz Hill, followed by the last sprint at Pillerton Priors. The ascent of the wonderfully named Sunrising Hill follows, before the teams have 2 laps to complete of the 12-kilometre Burton Dassett Country Park circuit to the finishing line.
So it's switching from Matteo to Mathieu. I'm Matthew as well, of course. Do you know what the name means?
No, not really.
It means gift from God, as it happens, which I think applies to you more than it does to me.
Thanks.
Mathieu, congratulations. Thank you very much indeed. Back in green. Can he hold it all the way to Manchester? He's got stage 7 to contend with first. Live coverage of that on ITV4 tomorrow. Join us then if you can. Bye-bye for now.